All right, what's up, guys? Jackson Abe here today, and today we're going to talk about what I have been up to over the last 18 weeks. I guess depending on when you guys see this video or when it actually comes out, sometimes YouTube sucks uploading things, especially from my phone. But at some point in time, over an 18-week period, I went on a weight loss dieting protocol. So I just tweaked my nutrition up a little bit. I was sitting at about 220 at the last powerlifting meet that I did in May. So that was, I think, at the beginning of May 10th-ish. And I finished up my weight loss phase around September 11th, I think. It's been a few weeks in the process after making this video. But nonetheless, I dropped just a little over 20 pounds over those 18 weeks, so just a smidge over a pound a week. And so my goal with that was simply, I was just carrying a bunch of unnecessary weight after I had torn my adductor and had a knee flare up that I've continuously have been dealing with since the beginning of March. I just noticed that I had not really tweaked my diet originally when I had hurt my adductor. And so I was still consuming a high amount of calories and I was still relatively active nonetheless, but it just wasn't the same. And I really should have just lowered my carbohydrate intake, or at least done what I had did over these last 18 weeks and manipulate my carbs on a certain day. And I didn't, which led to me gaining just a little bit of some excess fat that was, in my opinion, holding me back and was just making me a little bit insulin sensitive. Like I was just not, I was packing on more fat than I was muscle, even though I was still being relatively active and working a labor job. And so I just decided to shed some body fat, take care of some other lingering injuries, some weaknesses, worked a bit on mobility and some other things like that. And really just wanted to get myself into a position to where I could have a pretty solid foundation at a leaner body weight sitting at around 200. And then over obviously the course of this next year, I plan on going through a maintenance, a growth, another maintenance, a loss, a maintenance, and then another growth phase. And hopefully around after that second growth phase, we're kind of sitting at around 210 to 215, around the same body fat with a bunch of added muscle. Again, just continuing to build muscle on a leaner frame, trying to maximize my performance for strongman while still getting strong, so I still want to dabble in powerlifting here and there. But that was my goal. So I'll flash up my progress photos so you guys can see them. I'm really not big on like track and stuff like this. Like, truth be told, like a lot of the social media stuff is hard for me still, because I've been doing this shit, man, like since high school. Like, I mean, when I found the weight room, like it was all go. There was no recording workouts, there was just none of that. Like, I wasn't big on taking selfies in the mirror. Like, I was just all about getting in the field or getting to the gym and just doing whatever I could to get better for football. Like, I didn't really care about logging it for social media. Like, that was never really a thing. I think the first time I ever recorded myself working out was my junior year of college. And that was just because I wanted to check my form on a deadlift because something felt off. And so since even then, like it never stuck. It took a while for things to stick. And so things like this, especially, it's just hard for me to track things. Like, I'm just not consistent about taking progress pictures and logging all this data. I knew where I needed to be over the course of obviously 7 days at a time. And so if the body weight wasn't where it needed to be on weigh-in day or throughout the weigh-in process, then tweaks would get made. And I will have some videos coming out, so stay tuned for those, talking about why you might have hit a plateau, and then like things that you can do when you do hit a plateau in your weight loss phase, because it is inevitable. Like, I hit a plateau about halfway through, had to make one little minor adjustment, and it got me right back on track. And that was the only adjustment that I had to really make over those 18 weeks. Like I said, I had a bit of extra body weight that needed to come off. So this process was not horribly difficult. Obviously, it was just sucked not getting the amount of carbs I wanted on a lot of the days. So that is the kind of the process that I took towards my diet. Was I set up what is known as a carb cycling nutrition approach. And so essentially all this is we're just manipulating the amount of carbs that we need to consume on a daily basis. So over a 7-day period, roughly about 3,500 calories is needed to be in a deficit over 7 days to lose a pound of body fat. And so that's how subtracting 500 from your maintenance calories will put you in a deficit. 500 times 7 is 3,500. And so instead of taking that 500 calorie deficit every 7 days, for example, a couple days might be a 700 calorie deficit. Some days might be a 500 calorie deficit, and other days might be a 300 calorie deficit. And so what this could look like for your macros essentially is, so your proteins are going to stay pretty much the same, and the same with your fat. Those are going to be pretty stationary. They're not really going to fluctuate too much. Again, individual variances, it is all dependent upon each individual. But those two things are going to stay roughly the same. And so your carbs are what gets manipulated. And so, for example, I'll flash up a picture here. And so essentially on a low day, our protein is set at 210 and our fats are at 70. And then so on a low day, our carbs would be at about 150 grams. On a medium day, they would be 250 grams. And then on our one high day, it would be 350 grams. Typically, you place this high day around your highest output training day, at least for athletes. But typically, for those avid gym goers, on probably your hardest workout, which would typically be your leg day or maybe like a back day per se, those would be really good days to throw in that high calorie day just to give you that extra fuel while you were training. But essentially, this makes some days a little more bearable than others. Those 700 calorie deficit days are going to be a little bit rough compared to your 300 calorie deficit days, but it just makes it easier, and it kind of sets you up to not be in such a mental fog of being like, man, I have to stick to this one thing and I can't really divert. Whereas with the low, medium, high, you kind of get a little bit of variance each and every one of those days. And so this process worked really well for me. I'm very excited to implement this with some people moving forward. My dad is going to be preparing for a men's physique or / bodybuilding show coming up this next year, and I'm going to be running his prep. This is going to be something completely new to me. Honestly, a little terrified just because I really want to bring him the best package that I possibly can. I know he's going to do his work on his end, but it's just on me to make sure that I'm making sure that his macros and his hydration and his training and his cardio is all in the right place to ensure that he gets the result that he wants on show day. And so that was another reason why I went on this little weight loss phase, was because I wanted to kind of see what it was like mentally dealing with having to really restrict calories. I've only really had to restrict calories once in my life, and I really didn't even do it intentionally. It was during the lockdown phase. My diet had just changed since went from living at school to living at home. I made some tweaks in what I felt was best for me at the time, and the next thing you know, I'm down 20 pounds, but much stronger, leaner, and then visibly more muscular. And that was really the only time in my life and that I had really cut weight per se. Other than that, I've always kind of just eaten to grow. And so this was just a little bit different this time around, working a labor job, coming home. I have some buddies out there that work labor, and they do, they've done the whole bodybuilding diet stuff. And so, they get it. But it sucks coming home after a long day and knowing that you're only getting so many calories for dinner and then your little snack at night and, back at it tomorrow. So it is a challenge. It's definitely mentally challenging as well as physically challenging, but it was well worth it. My body's feeling really good. The knee's slowly coming along. We're making some good progress, kind of had a little setback, but things are trending in the right direction. Like I said, I feel good bodily wise. My mobility feels good. My ranges of motion that I'm able to access feels good. Mentally, I'm feeling really good. So it's just about building upon this foundation moving forward. Tacking on as much muscle as we can while staying as lean as we can, so we can maximize my performance for the sport of strongman. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys had any questions about what carb cycling is on a deeper level, some resources that I can point you guys in, so you can kind of look into this stuff for some of yourself, so you can learn a little bit more, maybe set up a diet for yourself even. But if you guys have any questions, shoot them down below. Shoot me an email at abestrength@gmail.com. Reach out to me on Instagram at abe_strength. I would love to help you guys. I appreciate all your support. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share this video if you got any benefit from it, or if you guys any learned anything. Thank you so much.